The base model of the iPad Pro 9.7 inch is $100 more than every other base model 9.7 inch iPad to come before it. Instead of the starting price of $500, it now starts at $600. So is the new iPad Pro worth the extra $100 based off its specs and features, or is Apple just trying to make some extra profit? Well, for starters, the iPad Pro 9.7 inch can now be purchased in rose gold. It's the only iPad being offered in rose gold. I got the rose gold color variant because it's new, and to see if it alone is worth $100 more. It looks good, but not quite Benjamin Franklin good. The display has been refreshed. There's a new True Tone feature which automatically adjusts the display based on the ambient lighting conditions around you to make colors appear consistent in different environments. You'll often forget this feature is turned on when using the iPad Pro regularly, but when turning it off, you can clearly note the difference this feature makes. In addition to the 25% greater color saturation than previous iPad models, the display is especially vivid, but I can't say it's significantly more vibrant than the last iPad Air 2, and its 9.7 inch display with the same 2048 by 1536 resolution. What about that speed though? The iPad Pro 9.7 inch features the A9X 64-bit processor with the M9 Motion coprocessor. This really is one incredibly fast chip that rivals many ultrabook laptops. It's 1.8 times faster than the CPU performance of the iPad Air 2 with double the graphics performance of the iPad Air 2. So you can edit 4K footage, you can play graphic-intensive games and run graphic-intensive apps without really breaking much of a sweat. The biggest bummer is that it only features 2 GB of RAM, whereas the iPad Pro 12.9 inch features 4 GB of RAM. iOS 9 allows for multitasking, so that's pretty great, but I'm disappointed there's no 3D touch feature here. I think I could justify paying an extra $100 for that feature, especially knowing that it'll be future-proof. Okay, so what about the camera? You shouldn't be taking photos with an iPad. You'll just look silly and people will judge you. Not that that really matters, but just imagine a world where everyone held up their iPad to take a photo instead of their iPhone. Yeah, it'd be like a solar eclipse of iPads. Well, Apple isn't helping the situation. They actually added a 12 megapixel camera sensor with a 5 megapixel front-facing camera sensor. It's the same sensor found in the iPhone 6s, and it's very capable of taking some great photos. It's almost overkill for a device this size. I would rather have the 8 megapixel sensor found in the iPad Air 2 and something like 4 GB of RAM or a 4K display, but maybe that's just me. I don't know, let me know in a comment if you actually take photos with an iPad. One area that has really improved is the audio department. The iPad Pro features 4 high-fidelity speakers in each corner of the device, and when you adjust the orientation, the high frequencies will adjust to the topmost speakers. They get really loud and they are much better than the dual bottom-facing speakers found on the iPad Air. It's actually pretty incredible to think a device measuring in at 6.1 millimeters thick and weighing less than 1 pound can produce such quality audio. In fact, when I first sampled this device to other people, I gave them a sample of the speakers because they're that impressive. As for battery life, Apple says you can get up to 10 hours of battery life per charge for both the iPad Pro 9.7 inch and iPad Air 2. Battery life is great, especially for a device of this size. Standby time is excellent, but it's really not much of an improvement over its predecessor. A couple other things to consider include accessories. The iPad Pro is compatible with the iPad Pencil and Apple Smart Keyboard. It even has a dedicated 3-pin port to connect to a smart keyboard. But those accessories are not included with the purchase of an iPad Pro. They may be very tempting for some people, but they do cost some extra cash. They cost at least an extra $100 depending on which accessory you want. So I think if you're in the market for a large iPad, you could justify purchasing the iPad Pro 9.7 inch given the better display, the faster processor, improved speakers and camera, as well as the increased 32 gigabytes of storage in the base model. It's the best iPad on the market, and certainly one of the best tablets on the market, whether you want to admit it or not. But even so, it lacks 3D touch and other excessive specs found in competing devices like a 4K display or 4 gigabytes of RAM, and the base model is $100 more than the base model of any other iPad of similar size to come before it. Even the very first iPad, which launched for $500. I think the only reason for this price increase is because Apple knows they can get away with it. It's just frustrating as someone who reviews these products because it just complicates recommending it for other people. If it were $500, I could wholeheartedly recommend it. But for $600 as the base price, I'd recommend it, but only if you're 100% set on an iPad. With that said, as always, I'm BoHD from PhoneDog.com. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash that thumbs up button, but I will see you guys right back here in the next one. See ya.